was a movie. Marry Me, starring Jennifer Lopez and Owen Wilson. This ridiculous story where Jennifer Lopez plays a pop star. I don't know how believable in this role she is. She's really famous and she's got a really famous boyfriend, so this already sounding like it's not possible. And they're engaged and they're gonna get married, and she's got this song called Marry Me, which is like her big hit. We're gonna perform in front of 20 million people at this wedding, and she finds out that her fiance cheated on her with her assistant. So now she's on the stage in front of millions of people and she doesn't know what to do. What could go wrong any more further? What's she gonna do? So everybody's got their signs that say marry me. So she just looks out into the crowd and she notices
Owen Wilson.
And then she's like, yes, I'm gonna marry you. So yeah, that's a pretty believable premise.
It was a movie that felt like it was from a different world and a different year. You can take that as you will. Honestly, it looked like a fake trailer for a movie, like a trailer within another movie. Kind of like that movie they watch in Friends with Benefits that has Jason Segel in it. I thought it looked like that. It is bad, but also the word that comes to mind when I think of it is vanilla. Very eager to please if you're into this sort of thing. And I did sort of get caught up in it, even though I knew what I was getting caught up in is not good.
I don't know, Jennifer Lopez is like trying really hard, which is commendable, but at the same time it's also like very noticeable to a point where it's just, I can't fully get on board with it. It doesn't seem like she's having fun, which is a dumb thing to say.
She sort of is, but also I feel like she's done so many of these movies to where maybe she isn't, but also maybe she was more devoted to the songs. I don't know.
But like just how she is as an actress, it's just not like something where I'm watching her and I'm thinking, you can tell she's having fun, because maybe that's just who she is as a person. There's like 10 minutes in the middle of it where like they actually start like talking, getting to know each other and hanging out where it's just them and there's no paparazzi or anything weird.
Them being Jennifer Lopez and Owen Wilson.
The fact that there's a movie that exists where Owen Wilson and Jennifer Lopez are an item.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just fun. Like they do a lot with that and towards the middle.
Yeah, they did Anaconda together. It makes sense.
Their math team in this movie is the Pythons. So it's almost like they were aware of that.
Is that right?
Yeah. Did you not watch the movie? We just watched the movie.
I did, but I'm like 3 beers in.
But they were like the math team. And so pi is a math thing. So they were the Pythons.
That's why they did that.
It was smart.
Different snake.
Yeah, and the pi symbol was in the shape of a snake, but also of the pi symbol because it was pi. Schools have mascots.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they are math teams.
Yes, go on. There is some sort of corny aura floating over this whole movie. Feels like something that would have came out in 2000, but I was sort of along for its weirdly cheesy ride. I wondered, I was like, is this actually good? Maybe. Charlie, I should mention, is a divorced father. The ex-wife is, I think, seen in another movie. There would have been the I miss mom scene, but they just decided not to bother with that because I think we were juggling too many cliches here.
It's kind of interesting that it draws the parallel between what Jennifer Lopez has gone through, having been married several times, and other stuff.
Yeah.
It was like kind of smart when they did that with Owen Wilson's character, but they don't explore it at all.
They really
Beyond
don't.
Just like, I used to be married.
It's just thrown out there. Maybe we're diving too deep into a movie called Marry Me, which, frankly, this was like one of those shitty Netflix movies that just happened to get Owen Wilson and Jennifer Lopez in it. But that's what elevates it, I think.
Like, they wake up the next morning and Jennifer Lopez is wearing like a sleep shirt kind of thing, eating an apple, while Owen Wilson has no shirt on and is just waking up from bed. And it's stuff like that that really just makes you think, this is a movie that exists, and like in a fun way. There's this one very well set up shot where Owen Wilson's a math teacher, so Owen Wilson has a math class because he's a math teacher, and Jennifer Lopez is looking at her phone after having set up Owen Wilson on social media, and it's kind of just eating an apple. It's all set up very well. The apple is red, and she's rocking her red lips, and it's all very, the cinematography, what they did, great. Classroom is completely empty. Owen Wilson takes upon himself to close the blinds from the door, and it just cuts away after that, just instant cut, and it's just a really, really well done cut to where you're like, yeah, they probably fucked.
Yeah, they totally fuck in a room that's usually occupied with children.
And even if they don't, my headcanon is they did.
Yes.
Because that would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you go, Owen Wilson.
I was too. I was also pulling for him to say wow. He came close to it like 10 times. He said how and now, but never wow. There was a time I really did think that he said wow. We had to rewind it, which, thank you, Peacock, because I could not have paid for a ticket for this with a straight face.
One for Marry Me, please.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly.
That would be weird.
I think 2 actors could make it watchable, and I think the 2 actors here do. Liked Owen Wilson for a long time. And Jennifer Lopez, she can be good. Like, I liked her on South Park. I loved her in Hustlers a couple of years ago. She was just fabulous in that. And Out of Sight, Selena, she also can be bad, so this movie goes a couple of directions. Kind of like her career. It just kind of varies.
She's never been nominated for any.
Her character actually says that. But that Bastion, what a shithead. I mean,
Really?
seriously. Who does that?
Every time you see him on screen, you're just like, I hate that guy.
He's also an absolute idiot, too. That
Yeah,
does not help.
They really cannot take a hint.
Are we going to have the Sarah Silverman talk?
Sarah Silverman shows up for this movie, and she's having a good old time. I don't always love Sarah Silverman when she shows up for stuff. I find myself liking her more when she shows up to something that she should not be showing up for, because she's like, it makes it funny, because it's just like, what the hell is she doing here? But at the same time, she understands that, it seems like, and she has fun with it. You can tell that, unlike with Jennifer Lopez, I feel like, but this story does feel like it's very personal to Jennifer Lopez.
I guess.
It's another thing, because there's a lot of parallels, so like I could see myself thinking that she found like what she was doing was important with this, which is funny, because I'm an asshole. There were parts in this movie where I felt like maybe I was really mean to Jennifer Lopez in the past. I was also kind of hoping for a throwback vibe to, there's been really good rom-coms with ridiculous premises that they lean into, but I didn't 100% jive with this. It would have been one thing if I didn't jive with it for the first half of it, but the last half of it, it still doesn't really match. It's a low bar to clear.
The climax. What is that doing? What is going on there?
You know what you're getting into with a climax in a movie like this, and they almost pull that off, but then they kind of jumble it in with like subplots about the daughter and stuff that is important to the story, kind of, but really in reality, when it's a movie called Marry Me and it's about Jennifer Lopez and Owen Wilson doing this crazy thing, it should be focused solely on them.
They should have just ripped off the climax of music and lyrics. Oh, she did do that though. She wrote a song for him,
but they didn't like fully go into the fact that it was for him.
Exactly. And then instead they like have the ending of 3 different movies thrown into one, and it's just really weird. I don't like.
Yeah.
I was watching, and I was like, oh, so that's what this was about, and I was like, no, that's what. No. Oh, this is. Oh, okay. And it was just fucking weird.
All we wanted was Jennifer Lopez to run back to Owen Wilson and say something to Owen Wilson and have a moment with Owen Wilson. At one point in this movie, what it all comes down to is Jennifer Lopez and Sarah Silverman are trying to get to Owen Wilson, and they're on this bus where, like, you know, he loves you, blah, 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 and she's like, does he love me? And she's like,
some form of duh, or of course,
yeah,
or
like,
obviously,
yeah,
you know.
like 100%, or like unconditionally, kind of weirdly high adjective to where there's no way you could watch this movie and ever believe that Owen Wilson genuinely is in love with Jennifer Lopez's character. They have nice moments and nice scenes and stuff, and there is a nice 10-minute period where they're having fun, But you still have to have these scenes where it gets you invested in the character and the fact that you want this relationship to work because you've seen, hey, it is actually better for her. But they kind of only do it with these thinly veiled montages that you've seen in these movies a lot of times. And that stuff's fun. But, like, it's not enough to where it's like you genuinely believe that this is something that they should be doing.
As I kept telling myself the whole movie, it's nice. It's not good, but it is so eager to please. I think it's perfectly watchable, but it also does border on bad a number of times. By the way, this has a great bulldog in it. Best character in the film, barely used, but steals the show.
There's a lot of weird final shots of scenes. Like the scene in the classroom where they cut to the blinds. That was cool. Like, that was... You need that kind of scene in
I know.
Movie.
We were both like, yeah!
Yeah, like, when that happened, I was like, okay, that is the greatest thing I've ever seen. But
that
like,
was genuinely his reaction.
That's the kind of stuff you want in these kind of movies. Like, that's a fun little thing. But then they have a bunch of scenes where they, like, linger on somebody else's reaction who's not in the scene. And they always give it a weird smile or something. But you
it
know
feels like a fake movie.
This movie's getting pretty good reviews for what it is. A lot of people seem to be on board with it, harkening back to a time when these movies actually got released in theaters. Because now, like Christian said, a lot of these movies are just like, hey, let's dump that on Netflix because people might want to throw that on and just not really care and
Jennifer
do
Lopez,
something else.
Owen Wilson. Okay.
Yeah, it is a theatrical, really released movie, which you can watch on Peacock though, and that's what we did, and it was kind of nice.
Yeah, and it must be said that we did sort of watch this movie as a joke because I expected it to be terrible, and then it's at a 59% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it's not too terrible, but it's also not good.
Yeah. Everybody I follow on Letterboxd seems to at least be like, yeah, that was good, as in like a 6 out of 10, like that was good. If you're into this kind of thing, you will like this movie, I feel like.
Exactly.
Especially if you liked any of the other Jennifer Lopez movies that she's done. If you like those, then this will be awesome.
If you know what you're getting into, you will. I give it a 5. A 5 out of 10. Sure. Not 5 out of 5. No, absolutely not.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking a 5 or a 4. I mean, my gut tells me a 4. I do think it's kind of clunky.
Oh, yeah.
Like, overstuffed, but only because it doesn't explore the stuff that it stuffs it with. It's not like I don't like rom-coms. But they focus more on the relationship and the transformation of the relationship. And I know this isn't like a deeply serious movie, but you still have to have scenes.
Yes, it is.
My mistake. It is a very serious movie.
I'd watch it again if I was drunk.
So, Marry Me is in theaters, and it's on Peacock.
And I don't know if you knew this, but it is a movie.
It was a movie.
Excuse me. It is a movie, but it was